We made and watched over 100 videos about space, galaxies, and human achievements. In each video, we saw and felt happy about how quickly people and countries were advancing. But recently, I found something strange. Why is South Korea so advanced, but for example, its neighbor North Korea is in such misery? What are the causes of these problems? This video is not about North Korea. It's about a country in Africa that is called the North Korea of Africa, Eritrea. Please stay with us until the end of the video.
No one leaves a country where there is freedom. Do you think they would leave? No, they wouldn't. If I had freedom in my country, why would I cross the Marib River? I know my family might be eaten by hyenas, but we have to take risks and fight for freedom. This is Eritrea.
Yes, you heard that right. This is Eritrea, a country that separated from Ethiopia in 1961 through war, creating a new country and preventing ancient Ethiopia from accessing the sea. Eritrea has become extremely poor and is under military rule. The army controls almost the entire country, and all Eritrean men and women must work in the military. This service isn't just for 1 or 2 years, and they have to work as long as the army needs them.
Are you ready to fight? Yes, sir. Are you ready to fight? Yes, sir.
All Eritrean people are forced to work for the army. Farmers, doctors, construction workers, all of them have to work for the military. And to sum up the situation of the people in this country, we must say that they are all like slaves because they don't receive proper salaries for the work they do. Eritrea has the highest rate of people fleeing the country in the world. If you search fastest emptying country on Google, Eritrea comes up at the top of the list. This country has only 3.5 million people, but in the last 30 years, more than 800,000 people have fled. Even though some people compare Eritrea to North Korea, its military is much weaker. North Korea has big weapons, like nuclear bombs, but Eritrea mainly has soldiers and basic guns like Kalashnikov. But Eritrea's location makes it easier to escape from compared to North Korea. You can leave from different places, and many borders in Eritrea don't have guards. Now let's travel back in time to understand why this country came into existence. In the 19th century, Italians entered Ethiopia. At that time, Eritrea didn't exist, and the coastline belonged to Ethiopia. The Italians believed Ethiopia was the most valuable country in Africa and wanted to take it over. However, Ethiopia was an ancient country and wasn't easily defeated. The Italians couldn't conquer Ethiopia directly, but they infiltrated this part of Ethiopia through the sea. They claimed that they were occupying this part of Ethiopia and cut off its access to the world. When the fascist leader Mussolini took power in Italy, his first order was to occupy Ethiopia. Mussolini realized it didn't matter and wasn't important because Ethiopia was under their control. By investing in this small part of Ethiopia, they believed they could prevent it from connecting to the world. After World War II, the British kicked out the Italians from Eritrea. The British aimed to return Eritrea to its motherland, Ethiopia. However, this prolonged separation caused cultures to change, and Eritrea and Ethiopia no longer recognized each other officially. Following this, the Ethiopian government's treatment of Eritreans as second-class citizens sparked a civil war. The civil war between Ethiopia and Eritrea was bloody, with different groups fighting all over the land. This civil war lasted for 30 years, with major powers around the world supporting one of these groups, providing them with money and weapons, until the most powerful country, the Soviet Union, which had influence in this civil war, collapsed. The Ethiopian government had grown tired of all the wars and turmoil and was forced to accept losing Eritrea. With the formal recognition of Eritrea, the war came to an end. Now, power in Eritrea fell into the hands of those who had fought with Ethiopia for years, and these same individuals became the owners of Eritrea. Because these individuals didn't know how to govern the country, the war continued in Eritrea. They became embroiled in conflicts not only with Ethiopia, but also with Djibouti, Yemen, and even Sudan. Isaias Afwerki has been the only president of Eritrea from the first day of presidency until now, with an age of more than 77 years. Isaias hasn't built prisons for his country, but he placed various containers across all regions, which were used as detention centers. Anyone opposing this regime would be put in these containers. As you know, the weather in Eritrea is very hot, and inside these containers, imagine how hot it gets. On a summer day, the temperature inside a container can reach more than 70 degrees Celsius, and a person cannot breathe in such air. During the first 7 years of Isaias Afwerki, all the opposition were suffocated in the containers until everyone became silent. After silencing the people, Isaias formed a military government, and from the beginning, he made a rule that everyone must work in the army. The service was from 20 to 30 years, and if they needed someone, they would keep him until the end of his life to serve. Eritrea is almost like a military camp. Unlike other countries, it doesn't have municipalities or various organizations, and everything is under the control of the army. Isaias has some strange ideas too. He completely destroyed buildings built by foreigners and said, "We don't need anyone to build buildings for us. We'll build them ourselves." The only good thing that happened in this government is that 77% of the Eritrean population are literate. Eritrea is a dry country with little water and not much farming. They mainly rely on imported food from China. In return, China takes valuable metals like lead and zinc found in Eritrea. Interestingly, in Eritrea, people don't get paid by the government. The government says money makes people greedy. They believe if they pay someone today, they'll ask for more tomorrow. They tell people they're serving their country and don't need money because they have food to eat. Most of the money in Eritrea comes from people who escape the country. This money makes up 40% of the country's economy. But why? What is wrong with this land or government? What do you think?